Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. Anna Manara joining us. Excited to have her here as she joins us once again. She's a coach at Higher Heart Healing based out of Tucson, Arizona, but working worldwide with so many. And the website is higherearthhealing.co. Is that correct?
It's actually
Higher Heart.
higherhearthealing.co.
This is because I don't have my glasses on. I knew that.
Oh, I feel your pain. I feel your pain.
It happens when you're 40, right? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
45 I am now, but welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. Would you mind introducing yourself to our listeners?
Of course. No, thank you for giving me this opportunity. So I'm a spiritual coach and energy healer. My practice is based out of Tucson, Arizona, my sacred land here in the desert. And I am an intuitive channel. So I do channeling work and I have private sessions, coaching or energy balancing and healing. And I also do that remotely as well in sessions. I've also got a library of digital courses that are on my website where appointments can be booked as well.
Perfect. So, I mean, you clearly love helping people. I think it's important to find out more about you. Could you share a little bit of your background, your journey, which brought you here today to Higher Heart Healing and to establishing your own company now?
Sure. Yeah. I think like a lot of people who kind of have a spiritual awakening, there was a major pivot point in my life that culminated to great change. And it was what I learned later, transformational work. And so I had this kind of spiritual awakening. It's actually called, there's a label to it called a Kundalini. And that culminated with a divorce after a marriage of about 19 years. And then COVID hit. So it was a lot of really from the ground up, just processing total transformation. And I could not go back. And so I knew that working with my own healing team, that this was truly something I've done in many lifetimes past in very different ways. And so it was just really stepping more into who I really am as spirit. And I found that my gifts finally kind of created this new identity as a healer. And I love, absolutely am passionate, clearly, about healing for people. And I knew that that was a process and something that was almost really a responsibility to kind of share that. So it is effortless. It isn't work. It's about abundance. It's about being in flow. And so teaching people the wisdom within them and how their journey really is on purpose and there's purpose to their pain is, I think, something that really resonates now as these holistic modalities are becoming more respected, revered, treasured, whatever you want to call it. But I think that people are finding a lot more value and saying, hey, there's really something in here for me.
Oh, beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing that and for being here. I know you wanted to kind of focus on spirituality today in an aspect. Did you want to get into that before we talk about something else?
Sure. Yeah, that's fun. So I thought that today, something that kind of, intuitively spoke to me was talking about our spiritual economy. And it was something that really resonated, I heard, I think, yesterday. And what this means is how do we start to really create a stronger foundation of a relationship based in our spiritual aspects of who we are? Now, this is all work in the invisibles. So this is not the things that are tangible or manifested in our physical reality, but this is more about really cultivating a foundation and a practice of listening to, a couple of different things. Number one, our intuition. Where does that come from? Why do we all have that? And yet we're not listening to it. And we really need to be doing that daily in every moment. It's really listening to what vibrates higher for us from the inside. So intuition. And then the next step is really working with this kind of economy of you and creating your abundance and your prosperity is letting go, the healing part of this journey. The more you let go, if you want to master your life, you need to let go and stop resisting. Struggle is self-induced. And so that isn't easy, though. That isn't always easy, but that's that work Okay. And then we walk into manifesting our magic, our mysticism. We are truly creators. We are brilliant at creating every single thing around you, whether it's your children or your home or your fulfillment in your life and your purpose. That is magic. And so that wisdom and that alchemy is really powerful. And also, again, cultivating the spiritual aspect of your life is a daily practice of setting intentions, sitting in prayer, meditating, and really starting to hone in on mindfulness. This is a biggie with spirit. It's really sitting there and saying, I need to sit with my emotions, my heavier stuff, and letting it move through my body. When we're holding in all the trauma and the wounds, which we have done for so many years, lifetimes, whatever you're feeling and picking up, it actually creates the disease in our body. It creates those aches and pains. And it's just, that's part of the holistic part of how we heal our own bodies. And then also, really, you have to kind of start with believing in the invisibles. So if you don't have an openness to in a belief system that there's something more going on here, that you're part of something bigger, you'll never be able to walk into the places where you're manifesting and healing your life. If you want to change your life, you have to change your energy.
And I wasn't even sure that you can change your energy. I mean, I understand we have a higher sometimes people naturally have higher vibrations than others, right? And is energy related to vibrations too? Or how does that work? Because
Yeah,
sometimes you
it
get a
is.
sense of someone who has bad energy. Does that mean they're always
Absolutely.
bad or they could become good? Do you know what I'm saying? Like I've known
Yeah,
people that I
it's not
feel,
a constant state. Absolutely.
oh,
Those are great
okay, so it's
questions.
not.
It's not a constant state. It's a state of flow. It's a state of flow. So think about yourself as like light around you. Okay. You are your energetic field.
Mm-hmm.
And that changes based on your feelings and your thoughts. So of course you can always change and adjust where you're vibing. So the way that I've kind of been taught and what really resonates and works for me that's really effortless is checking in with my heart, using that as my first brain and saying, if it feels good, then it's a yes. If I'm in a place or around people or there's a thing that doesn't feel good, then it's a no. Then I need to move. It's my responsibility to move my body out of that space so that I can go someplace else where I feel good. And it doesn't have to make sense in your mind and to other people, certainly. So that's that people pleasing, but we're always in a state of flow. So it's just a practice of being mindful and staying positive and saying, and trusting that intuition and saying, there's something really, really off here. And when you're healing, there will be certain areas of your life, they might be toxic. I mean, we might even be in places of abuse. And so when you understand, wait, I need to really trust myself and my body and where I'm vibrating. And I need to know that I need to get out of here. I need to get physically safe. I need to get my body safe. I need to start being around safer people. So this is about choice, right? So it's kind of like really working with the wholeness of who you are in your feelings.
Got it. All right. Thank you for clarifying that. Okay, let's continue.
Yeah. So let's see what else here. Intentions. Can we talk for a minute about that?
Sure.
Okay. So the power of intention is something else that's really important to me in my work. I actually have a digital course online, Living on Purpose, that talks all about how to set intention. But why this is important is because this is the truest place of power in the whole universal, the energy, the chi, the prana. And so when you walk into a situation or maybe an experience or maybe a new relationship, a new job, whatever it is, if you set your intention first, and really calling in your power, your solar plexus chakra, and you say, okay, I really want this to be a great experience. I want to get out of this something really good. I want to feel joyful, and I want it to be easy. I really love choosing ease and flow in my life. The reason is because, Jill, most of my life I was in struggle and trauma, and I come from that. So I have to really be mindful about how I can live and how I can be happy and make things easier on myself.
Yeah.
Because I made things so hard before. And I really feel strongly a lot of people do that. And we don't think we have a choice. How disempowering for us to think we're just obligating our lives to, a job or an identity, our careers, or, our roles as mothers or caretakers. And we've given so much that we've nothing left. And it's really important to start reversing that and saying, no, I do have choice here. I can start to let myself be the first thing that I think about in the mornings. And there's nothing wrong with that, because we can't be the best version of ourselves truly unless we are putting ourselves first. And so a lot of my own journey has been in overgiving. It has been in victimhood. It has been truly surrounded by a lot of narcissistic personalities in every area of my life. And so I had to take responsibility for those choices. And I had to take responsibility for the fact that I was now aware of that. And what was I going to do?
So self-care, not selfish. We got to take care of ourselves, and a lot of times we don't. I got to make note of that always. Yeah. Yeah.
And not feel guilty about it.
Mm-hmm.
And say, this is actually how I can be better for my loved ones as well.
Oh, thank you for that. And let's remind everyone, since we're halfway through, how we can contact you, please.
Yeah. So my business phone number is 520-333-6237. And my website, where you can book private appointments with me or look at all of my digital courses, is higherhearthealing.co. And I can also be found on YouTube at Higher Heart Healing 1111 and Facebook at Higher Heart Healing as well.
Well, thank you so much. And then I was reading on the website, I love how you put a Higher Heart Healing plus the podcast equals love.
Yeah.
Very cute. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, and there is hope for so many. Do you want to share some client stories, or what else did you have in mind for us today? It's your show.
Yeah. No, I love that. I've really enjoyed seeing the progress and the success of my clients as I mindfully and intentfully choose to align with people who are in this for the long haul. They're in this to transform and to heal and to really step in strongly and powerfully with transformation. And for me, it just happened to come in the esoteric and with spirit. And it really is, you become such a different, more healed, more joyful, stronger version of yourself when you choose the spiritual aspect. And I have just some really great, whether I'm working with beautiful women who are getting out of a toxic relationship and need me to hold that space with them. I could write like 5 books on how to navigate divorce in a way that is absolutely nothing less than shocking to other people who witnessed that, because it came from a very hostile relationship into one of love and healing and an expansion of love in new blended families for my children. That was something that was extremely important to me. And I'm so proud of that. It's not that it's easy, but I've walked in that path. So I know what to do. I know how to do that. And I still go through those ups and downs, those waves of emotions, as I'm someone who is recently, like we spoke about, remarried. So how does that look? Those relationships and seeing those expand and help support my children even more. Beautiful stories there of healing. I've seen people heal in their bodies in just absolutely miraculous ways. It really isn't like one specific type. I mean, I have, as a healer, my own clients where it was, maybe working on prostate issues, edema. I think it's where it's like a diagnosis where there's a lot of fluid, extra fluid in bodies, a lot of swelling, a lot of kind of reproductive issues for women, endometriosis. I've got teenagers. This beautiful girl came and she had ringworm, and it was the most bizarre, unique case. And then, there's pictures on my website that talk about just what that looked like visually after 3 sessions with me. And her mother and I were just astounded by the change in that. It was crazy. And there's miracles every day that happen in holistic ways. I really advise people to go with someone who shares your story, who's walked in your path, who resonates for you, because I do believe that there's alignment there, that it's just so on purpose and by divine design with who can really serve you. And it's also sometimes, addiction. A lot of addiction issues will come up, relationship addictions, substance abuse. I work with people who are getting out of those deep ends of trauma and are looking to work with their energy to maintain where they've been. And I also work with a lot of people who have over-victimized themselves, like myself, where it's that over-giving endlessly, these family obligations that just drain us to the point of like, we have nothing left. And so it's a relearning about reparenting and operating from a different place where you're being more mindful and creating awareness. And so that is the transformation that I'm talking about. And that's the coaching aspects of where are you at right now in your life? Let's really get into the nuts and bolts of this, and let's get in, dig deep, lots of guided meditation, lots of tools to work through the chakras, aligning, clearing, cutting cords, with people who haven't been receiving and giving equally in relationships. So a lot of really magical work transpires when you do energy healing. It's like the only game in town.
Beautiful. And you work with both men and women and also kids, right?
Yeah. So, it's kind of interesting. I don't know. Some people think I, just work with women or, and at first I will admit I did just call in more women. I just wasn't feeling safe with men where I was at in my life 5 years ago. And then I really started to work on healing my divine masculine and my divine feminine energies. And now about half of my clients are men. And I really love, talking about what it looks like to see a healthy woman, how to really open up and talk to men about their feminine energies and not to feel triggered by that, but to explore that flow, that our emotional selves, we are both energies. So it's really not about the gender. And I also work with people who are, expressing themselves in gender ways that are, not just masculine or feminine. And that's a beautiful process too, because it is always about the energy and what's going on inside in our vibration and what is our body saying to us. So talking with that plane of our reality, our body and getting messages from what is our body needing to tell us, what's going on inside energetically. And so a lot of clarity will come from that as well. Like, are you putting things in there that aren't aligning with you? Let's talk about, rebalancing, bringing in some more light, energetic foods into the lowest, darkest places of our bodies, which is our GI tract, and what emotions are being held in different parts of our bodies. How do we listen to our bodies and let it communicate with us differently?
Got it. Well, thank you so much. And also, we still have 8 minutes left in the show. There's a lot to you, the type of work you do. And I remember we talked a little about your sound healing. You have, is it sound bowls or what process is that?
Well, so for me, I have crystal sound bowls, and I actually use that as an add-on to private energy sessions with children. And you can add it on to your own healing session too, of course, if you were someone who was interested in doing some of this work with me. And what I found is that the vibration of sound is a medicine for creating a state of relaxation in the chakras. And there's something about children being closer to the light, of course, where it resonates for them really strongly. And so they're able to get the downloads and the calibrations of energy that I give them when they listen to the beautiful sound bowls. And sometimes with my younger clients, I'll actually let them kind of play with me down and, with the bowls. And they really love that. And I love teaching our children that there are different modalities and ways to relax their body.
It's funny you said that. My 6-year-old saw something. It was on TikTok. It was a sound bowl. That sounds so cool. He said to me the other day, that sounds so. I'm like, it's like it's satisfying. I'm like, good word. I'm like, how old are your kids, by the way?
My kids are 13 and almost 16.
Okay. Okay. And mine are 6 and 8, but it was cute when he said that.
No, beautiful age. I know, just like beautiful boys. I love that. And it is fun. And it's like they just don't, their ego just lets go of the why and the how and all the details. They overthink and they just feel. And so it's so beautiful because it actually does release darker or heavier energies or heavier, darker emotions with our children when we do sound healing. It really is about, and I go around the aura, and I do that with my Tibetan sound bowl and my chimes as I open the sacred ceremony of a private healing session. You know, the different modalities that I use, and I think why I'm really pretty unique in this work is that I combine Reiki and my shamanism and my quantum healing. So as an old soul and someone who has a lot of past life remembrance and recall, I know that I have done this work for millennia. And it's just an expression of how I open up my gifts and share those with the client. And what is their body calling in? What would work best for them? And I actually have a lot of people who actually are moving to Tucson, either, like temporarily in their job or something called them into the desert. And so there's a lot of Gaia medicine that I'm able to extend out if you're not in the desert, the sacredness of this land. And you're really able to access that through my channel. And the quantum healing is very, very cool. And it's really, if I can just take a moment to explain, what it is for me as a healer is I work in the Merkaba of you. So the Merkaba is sacred geometry, and it's kind of created by Archangel Metatron, if anybody out there is into channeling and understands and knows who he is. And the creator of all physical form sits on the right side of source. It's absolutely beautiful. And so he really allows me to heal the body and using the Merkaba, mind, body, ka, soul. And we all have one. And inside of this Merkaba, it's kind of hovering above you, is your soul's wisdom and knowledge and experience across all space and time. That's what's quantum about it. It's multidimensional. And so as I activate that, I then start to use Lemurian light language, which is a really beautiful gift. It's very, very ancient. It comes from Lemurian times, which is before Atlantis. And it is a sacredness, and it helps me to balance and repair and remove blockages and to offer calibrations and downloads to that person in their energy. So it's literally just incredibly powerful. Some people really call in the Reiki medicine. So we do a lot of Reiki, and it's just, I let their soul guide me, and just, I call in and ask for whatever they need and however they need it. So it's really beautiful to go and be in ceremony with people who are doing healing work.
Beautiful. Well, it's always a pleasure having you here. We still got 3 minutes left. How did you want to end off, by the way, for your show today to, to say to people out there that may be in need of these services? And pretty interesting. How did you get involved with the kids too? How did you bring the kids on? And just curious, because a lot of people I talk to work with adults.
Right. I think that that's a part of it. To be honest, I absolutely love kids. I did have to really step back as a mother and someone who threw myself into all that PTA and, the head of everything. I had to really back off and find myself in after motherhood. But I really am good with kids. I love kids.
I love
and
it.
I really felt that they needed to have a healing space because it wasn't available. And so one of my missions in this lifetime is to advocate for innocence and to protect that. And I found that as there's parents who don't know what to do with an empathic child or a light sensitive child, they didn't really have anywhere to go. So I wanted to kind of create that open container for people who wanted to just kind of really, you get to your wit's end and you're like, I don't know how to help my kid. Now, not every family is that way. Of course, we know that this work kind of comes up in lineage, right? We have like a hereditary aspect to empaths. But as someone who, like my own kids, my son will have not let me work on him. So I have to go at him with conversation and healing words, right? So a different approach. But my daughter loves it. And she wants the sound bowls and the crystals and the meditation work and the Reiki. So, it just, kids are different. And so that's what I do with them. And I've also done a lot of remote sessions with my friends' children. Sometimes it can't be you doing it, so you gotta call on your tribe and your support and people that that do this work, that your kids kind of give permission to heal. And they also need to know how to navigate big feelings and emotions. We don't often have a lot of that therapeutic, psychological, emotional work in our schools or in the lives of our children. And so this just has a lot of purpose. It's very helpful.
Thank you so much again for being here. Remind us how we can reach you.
Yeah. So my website is www.higherhearthealing.co. And my work phone number, if anybody wants to text me for a free consultation or just talk a little bit more, is 520-333-6237.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Pleasure having you back. Great to see you here in person as well as live on the Zoom, and looking forward to the next time we get to connect physically and energetically like this. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay,
Awesome.
Great. Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Jill.
Great to have you. Really, it's good to see you in person. I like the connection, right? I mean,
yeah.
Phone's good, Zoom's good, but it's that a more personal connection.
And we're in the same place in our lives, I feel, a little bit. So
Yep.
It's fun to kind of connect there.
I agree. Well, thank you again for being here, and we'll talk hopefully next week, okay?
Okay, thanks so
Thanks
much.
again, sweetheart. Bye-bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.